What's good, YouTube? Justin Righteous here, back with another reaction video. I like to yap on world topics, but I don't just yap. I dissect, I break down the content, I share lessons from my own experiences, and I call out the misinformation. So today we have my job experience. I think that's what that word is, job. I don't know why he censored it. This is kind of funny. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to react to this video. You know, I had a lot of jobs in my lifetime. 20 to 25 jobs for sure. I did the round, man. I did everything almost. You know, so I think I'm qualified to talk on this topic. Let's get straight into the video.
Today, I'll be talking about one of humanity's biggest fears. A job! This is a horrifying path that almost everybody will have to eventually face in their life, whether we like it or not. And most of the time, we don't. But everyone has to get their bread somehow. So we just gotta suck it up and pray that we win the lottery or our parlay hits one day. Because let's be for real, nobody want a job. Like, unless you got real aspirations for a certain type of work, I think most of us, if given a magical opportunity to get paid however much you get paid now and not work that job again, we would take it. Because most of us see jobs as a way to get by in life and try to make ends meet. There's no room for you to pursue passions in this economy. You better second guess that art degree and major in business so you can be an executive marketing promoter for $1 billion company. But I digress. I'm just saying, I doubt that is most people's passions to work at a 9 to 5 at a warehouse lifting boxes. I don't mean any disrespect, but am I wrong? Plus, it's fun being...
Look, what he just said is like very, very deep, and it's existential. It's more deep than people even realize, okay? What people, they see a job as like, you know, a way to get money, and then they use that money to do whatever goals they have in their life, whether it's get a car, get a house, blah, blah, blah. And that's the problem, okay? Your job should be... You should use your job as your way of contributing to society, rather than just something you have to do, to like live a life that was determined by you don't even know who. You just grew up feeling like this is what I was supposed to do. I've read over 10 books on money, the psychology of money, and what I learned reading all these books is that we all view money in the wrong way. We all view money as something that like you have to get, you know, something that you have to have a lot of because it's going to allow you to buy a lot of things. Bro. You don't even, you get sick every winter. You get a cold every winter. Your body isn't even okay. You're depressed, bro. You know what I mean? You are depressed and you're worrying about how much money you have to make. Think about that for a second. You have a low self-esteem. You don't even like yourself in your own body. You're shy. You're ashamed of yourself. You don't go to the gym. You don't eat healthy. You get headaches every single day, but you're worrying about the job you have to work tomorrow. You're worrying about your boss. You're worrying about waking up think about that for a second. You really need to understand that it all starts with you. It all starts with your body. It all starts with taking care of your own self. That comes first before worrying about a job. And then after that, you can think of how you want to contribute to society, and then the money is going to come with it.
Unemployed. As long as you got a roof over your head and don't need to worry about bills, most likely because you still live with your parents, then why would you want a job? That sounds like it's taking away your time from being grandmaster on Rivals and watching reels. Nah, that's too much. But eventually you want to get your own stuff. You know, young boy tickets ain't free. Or life really hits you in the face and now you actually have bills. So eventually we all have to get a job. However, you know what's harder than actually deciding to get a job? Finding one that hires you. I swear you could send 100 applications to 100 different...
Yeah, right now the job market is very terrible, and it's because of AI. It's because of like the internet. You have to go in person to apply for jobs. That is probably one of the only ways you're gonna get a job, or you have to apply for jobs that are in very high demand, which obviously require predetermined skills. Like you need to already have the skills for it. But yes, the job market is very bad right now. And I just want to say this one thing. I used to live alone. I lived alone for a good portion of my life, for like maybe like a total of like 4 or 5 years. So I lived on my own for 3 years. I went away. I went to live in a different province because that's what we have in Canada. Because I got a scholarship to play football, and for the first year I lived in a house with a bunch of football friends, and then for the next 2 years I lived on my own after that. And then I came back home, and then I moved out again. I moved out again for a year. Now I'm back at my parents' house. It's just me and both my parents. I have 3 older sisters. They all moved out. And what I want to say is that I made the move back because I chose something over the social norms, the regularly established norms. I'm 26, turning 27 tomorrow, actually. And on the day that I'm recording this. And I used to have a job, okay? I used to have a job, but it was taking away my soul. I worked as a signal man, for construction sites, to stop accidents from happening and things like that. And I quit that job one day when I realized that, like, I was like, bro, like, I'm depressed right now. And what am I doing? What am I working this for? For money? It's like I had money, you know what I mean? Like I had enough money to where I didn't have to work for a good couple of months. Okay, I'm not gonna lie about that one, but that's because I knew how to save, because I learned how to save and invest. So I was like, bro, I'm working this job and I'm depressed and I'm not doing the things that I actually want to do on a daily basis because of this one job. I'm waking up at 5 a.m. every day and I'm coming back home at 5 o'clock p.m. And by that time, I'm tired. I don't even want to do anything. You know what I mean? So I quit that job and I was like, bro, I'm just going to go back to live in my parents' house and I'm going to build my own source of income. I'm going to build my own businesses, build my own source of income. And at least I get to be at home with my parents, take care of my parents if anything goes wrong, if they need my help. They're starting to get old, and I'm their only son, man. And it feels good to be with your parents. It feels good to know that you're here taking care of them. But long story short, I realized after reading all those books about money, I realized that I can't let money, the idea of money, control my actual desires. Right? So I chose to follow my own desires and to build a source of income that's based around my own desires. One of the reasons why I'm doing this YouTube channel right now.
Different places and all of them would still ghost you. You think with how many job openings you see, the businesses are desperate to find people. But nah, it feels like they're posting it as bait, just to mess with people or steal your info. Not only that, if this is your first job, you're
a lot of jobs steal our info and sell them. That's why when you start applying to a bunch of jobs, which is what everyone does, they just go on Indeed and apply to like 100 jobs. That's why you start getting a bunch of spam calls, a bunch of, random calls and stuff.
Gonna have a harder time because even the quote-unquote entry-level jobs are asking for a qualification of having prior experience. Like, isn't that what this job is for? How is someone supposed to get experience and not be homeless while almost every decent paying job requires that? And trying to apply for a job on LinkedIn or Indeed is like sending your application into a void. I swear none of those people be reading them. You could have the most stacked profile on LinkedIn. You got a bachelor's, master's, discovered the cure for cancer. Then you send in an application for your dream job to your dream company. Then they write back to you saying, we've read your application. Unfortunately, the CEO's daughter has took your position that you applied for.
The CEO's daughter?
Back when
Yeah, that's because everyone is sent, like, they literally have like 1,000 applications for one job. So your chances of getting applied are very slim. And then you have the people that are going in person too. And this is actually one of the reasons why I made the decision to move back to my parents' house is because I was applying to a bunch of jobs and like no one was responding back, despite all of my prior experience with a bunch of other jobs, right? So I was just like, bro, you know what? I'm just gonna build my own income. I'm like, fuck all this, bro. I'm not gonna go and keep grinding for a job that I keep grinding to find a job that I don't even want, when I know I have the knowledge. I know I have my own skills. I know I can build skills that I want, skills that I need to be my own self-employed, to make my own money, to be my own boss. I knew that for a fact, and I was just out here grinding, hoping for jobs. So there are some jobs that called me back. I'm not gonna lie. There are a very small amount. Bro, I probably applied to like 200, 300 jobs, and like maybe only two called me back. But I didn't want those ones. You know what I mean? And that just gives you a bigger picture of the economy. I was applying to jobs that I didn't even want, right? So look, I have parents that love me, that they take care of me. I take care of them. They take care of their family. So I'm using that to my advantage. And you should too.
When I was still applying for jobs, I literally gave up on sending applications on those sites because I never get a response back. Like, damn, was my application that bad? Even when your application does get noticed and you get set up for an interview, you still gotta go through some more bullshit ass questions. Why did you choose our business? Y'all hiring. Like, what's up? What is your main motivation to get your work done? Money? What else am I here for?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
Not here.
Hopefully not here. That's just me being honest with my answers. What do you want me to do? Work here for the rest of my life? This is a Wendy's. So you gotta lie with any question they ask. You have to make yourself look as good as possible. So you gotta fake it till you make it. Even if they asked you a stupid question like, would you still work this job even if there was no pay? You say absolutely. I always wanted to be a slave. Congratulations.
No,
you have
that's
successfully
crazy.
become employed. The end of your life starts Tuesday. After starting a job, I feel after the first week, you can find out whether you like it or quit it.
Like, listen to how he's talking about having a job, man. That's so depressing, bro. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? It's like, this is the idea that we have of jobs, bro. Like, if you don't have a job that's aligned with who you are and your life goals, and you go to work and like you don't like anyone there, and like come on, what are you doing, man? What are you doing if that's what your life is, bro? You should be excited about life. You should wake up every day with a purpose. You should wake up every day with ideas, creations that you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, this is a huge problem, but this is a problem that's changing. It's changing. We're in the transition phase of this problem. More and more people are quitting their jobs, becoming self-employed, making their own sources of income. And the reason why is because we're understanding the power of the internet now. We're understanding the power of the internet.
The next month. And it won't be the job itself to motivate this decision. It's your boss and coworkers.
Jiggle my balls.
They can make or break this whole thing. If you happen to get a chill boss and coworkers you can vibe with, that's amazing. That's how my last real job was. I used to be a waiter for weddings and other events. That job low-key had me stressing because I wasn't good at the start. I was awkward taking orders. I would mess up orders. And one time I even dropped a whole tray of food I was carrying at the wedding. Best believe I didn't get tips that day. And what would get me kind of jealous is that some of my coworkers would walk out and carry 2 trays full of food on one shoulder. Like, damn, bro, are you Samoan? Those trays are mad heavy and so out of balance. But you know what kept me going? It was the fun time I had with my coworkers and boss. They were cool as hell. We had a carpool to get to the events.
If you like the people at your job, like, that's one of the biggest factors of like, job positivity, is if you like the people who are around you. So jobs where like, you work at a restaurant, or like, I don't know, you work at like festivals or something like that. Like you when you're around people that you love, that can make any job feel like a great time. It can make any job feel like a great time. I used to be a delivery driver at a restaurant, and that was the best job I ever had. Because, just delivering food low-key felt like a video game. you know, and I'd come back to the restaurant and I just kick it with the waitresses. I just kick it with the waitresses, kick it with the cooks while I'm waiting for my next delivery, and that was amazing.
It was always a vibe and a good time. They made my experience. Imagine working a 16-hour shift and walking out of it happy. One day I clocked in for a double shift for a wedding and a Sweet 16 at 9:30 a.m. and clocking out at 1:30 a.m. Granted, I was dead after that shift and had to take off my shoes more than
that's
once.
like 15
but I got
hours.
$60 worth of tips and went to Wawa after work, so I felt like Gucci. And I believe
Damn, $60 of tips is not that much, bro. And he was really happy about that. Cause I would make like $100 of tips in like 4 or 5 hours working my delivery job. You know what I mean? $50 was a bad day. That was like the regular day. On average, I made like $60, $70, $80 of tips per shift, and I was only working like 4 or 5 hours a shift. We're doing my delivery job.
I only felt like this because
I guess if it's American, it's better. It's like
nice.
$90.
Sometimes I've had to serve some
80.
aggressive people at some points.
Yeah, it's my birthday today. What can I get out here for free? You a bitch.
If I had trash co-workers or a trash boss, I would have not stayed at that job for long. I have zero patience for bullshit. Literally. Like example, the first job I've ever had in my senior year of high school, I was a janitor at a warehouse. I had no co-workers, so I had nobody to talk to, and my boss was not a bad person, but a bad boss. I'd be working shifts that were 2 to 3 hours every few days, cleaning the break rooms, hallways, and bathrooms. So my pay wasn't even that good, but since I was still in school, I was just thinking, I'm making money and I got more time to study and goon. That sounds like a win-win.
Oh my
but when
God.
payday arrived, I would only be paid for half the hours I worked, sometimes less. I was already barely working as is, combined with a salary of $13 an hour, cleaning up pee-pee and poo-poo. Man, I'm not taking it. Plus, he only paid
he
me
grinding.
through Cash App. You've ever had a job that only paid you through Cash App? Man, I had to go. I only worked there for a few weeks. He did pay me the rest of the money after, so he cool, but man, warehouse jobs are not it. My
Yeah, warehouse
patience
jobs are
dwindled
not it.
faster when
I
got
work a
accepted
warehouse
at
job
BJ's,
before.
and I worked there for 1 day. I asked to go to the bathroom and left during orientation. I discovered they weren't what they advertised. How you gonna call yourselves BJ's without expecting people to have certain expectations? That's false advertising. So I left. That wasn't really the reason. I just didn't want to work in the freezer. That's when I started my waiting job, then YouTube, and now here I am. Unemployed since. I'm just saying I can understand the struggles of looking for and having a job. Especially the ones you only take to make ends meet.
You know, mind you, well, let me finish the video.
And the unemployed life can be really fun when you have stuff to fall back on. If not, it
Yeah,
will only be
that's
short-term
facts.
satisfaction. Eventually, you have to get a career, deal with any of the shortcomings of it, and do that for the rest of your life. The American dream! So when looking for a job, make sure to get one that you like if you have the privilege to do so. That's all I really wanted to say. And in conclusion, enjoy unemployment while you
Man, that's a very good video that he just made, man. It's a especially for our generation, this is like a huge important topic, you know. Like, I'm not encouraging anyone to just quit their job and go unemployed and not do anything with their life, you know, because that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. I quit my job. I set goals. I'm still in school. I'm still studying physics. You know, I have goals to become an engineer, to have my own tech companies, to build very important technology for the future of humanity. But in the meantime, I'm not unemployed. Don't get it twisted. I work for myself. I have my own businesses. I have my own hobbies. I have my own things that I do I work every single day, even if I don't have a job. I make my own money, right? Right now, at the moment, I'm making a little bit more than minimum wage. That's just working for myself. That's working for myself. I'm making more than minimum wage, and I'm working the hours that I want. I do whatever I want at any given moment. So this is what I encourage everyone to do, you know, and I'm still building. I can infinitely scale. There's not like I don't have a set position at a job to where it's like I make that amount of money no matter what I do, depending on the day. No, I can scale. I can grow bigger as much as I want to grow. So this is what I encourage everyone to do, because we all have that ability. We all have the ability to work for ourselves. You just have to remove that fear and that ego from your mind. Like, you know, you're not unemployed, bro. You are self-employed. And forget what everyone thinks. Forget like, oh, people are gonna think that like I'm not making that much money right now. They're gonna judge me. Yeah, so what? You're just doing what they wish they could do. You're being your own boss. Leave a thumbs up on the video. Leave your thoughts on the comments down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.